it has finished. Altrincham 4, Eastleigh 0 in front of 2,166 at the J Davidson Stadium this afternoon. And we're talking to Altrincham manager Phil Parkinson. Phil, I'm not so sure it gets much better than that.
No, a complete performance. I thought, apart from the opening 5 minutes where we looked a little bit rusty, probably from the lack of games, I felt we completely dominated that, and really worthy winners. We normally have a little spell where you're, in typical Alti in fashion, you're hanging on a little bit at the end, but it wasn't to be tonight. The lads were outstanding.
And the first goal was clearly important. We played some great stuff in the opening half hour, but when the first goal came, it was a lovely goal. Terrific play by a number of players, but Regan Linney slipped in Lewis Banks, and for a fullback to get in that position, that's superb.
Yeah, well, as I always say, I give credit where it's due, and we've got one of the best coaches in this division, and probably higher in Neil, and a lot of the patterns that he works on, you're seeing that come into fruition there with Banco getting into the box and scoring, and with Eddie picking up the positions he is on the pitch as well. So he's got to take a lot of credit for the excellent coaching that the lads get, and like you said, you're seeing the rewards of that there. It was really pleasurable to watch. It was enjoyable, never uncomfortable, and the lads, as I've been saying it for weeks, they're just getting better and better, so couldn't be more pleased.
And they looked really up for it right from the word go today. We were a little bit slow to start in the first 5 or 10 minutes, but they were at it.
They should be as well. They've had a period of time off. We've been really focused. We've ensured that they've got the running in that they needed to do. Southend last week, a lot of lads would have just gone home. Our lads were in the gym getting in the distances that they needed to cover, doing extra sessions the next day. So really professional players, really hungry, desperate to take this team and this football club as high as it can go, and you're seeing that on the pitch there. Like I said, if you've not enjoyed that today, you don't enjoy football. So there'll be a period where we've controlled the game that people probably want us to keep pushing and pushing, but what we did, we controlled, and then we got Chris's last goal, which is exactly what you want to happen when a team's sitting deep trying to hit you on the counter, which is why they brought on the flyer up front. But ultimately we just strangled them, and then when that moment come, Chris was fed through, and he finished beautifully.
I'm sure Richard Hill would have been glad to get in at half time, just the 1 goal down, but we got the important second goal and easily could have got a third as well.
Perfect timing with the goals, and goals change games. All managers will say that, depending on when they hit you. And I felt, as you said there, the disappointing thing for me is if we would have only have gone 1 in, because we got in some great areas, and either a poor execution of a finish or a missed time pass, or a keeper making a save, defenders blocks, all those types of things that Eastleigh are associated with in terms of really strong defensively, but we've put them to the sword today.
And we're playing great football with the ball, but our performance without the ball was outstanding as well.
That's been our biggest improvement this season. As much as I'm saying about the patterns and getting better, our defenders have really stepped up to the plate, but it's not just the defenders, the front lads. I've been hammering home to them for weeks and weeks. If they can get the defensive jobs right, the roles and responsibilities correct, if they work with the right intensity, have the right attitudes, right mindsets, we're more than a match for anyone in this division. But if they don't, we'll always be judged by our front lads, because we've got some really talented players, but sometimes talent sacrifices work rate and endeavour and intensity and mentality, but our lads are starting to bridge them gaps, and when you're doing that, look, every time we played Eastleigh in the past, it's been a real struggle. That looked very comfortable today.
2 picture goals in the second half to round things off, and we could have had more.
Yeah, as I said, the front lads for me have got to take a lot of credit, because they put all the pressure on, they've retained the ball well, they've created the chances. The rest of the boys have got to play their part, and they've got to stay focused and not switched off, and that's really important. I mean, you saw at times the defenders were able to step out under pressure. The patterns from the back as well are just as important as the patterns at the front, and the bravery of Elliot and Isaac, and I felt they dominated, orchestrated the game. Particularly Elliot and Isaac, he's an absolute dynamo. He looks like he's took it to the next level, but both of them have, I think them two in particular, are becoming two of the most prominent midfielders in this division, if not the most dominant midfielders, and they've got a benchmark now. They can't fall below that, because if we want to do anything, we've got to have players playing at them levels every single week.
And Elliot Osborne, if that had been a round of golf, I think it would have been the perfect round in terms of his accuracy on some of those chipped balls.
Well, he's outstanding at that, isn't he? But Isaac's getting much better at that, as much as they complement each other in terms of probably Elliot with the passing and Isaac with the shorter passing. Ultimately, they're both doing the other bits that they each complement each other on. So Elliot's really ratting round now, winning lots more balls back, and Isaac's adding the passing range and the distribution to his game much more than he has before. And I think if them two, and we ask a lot of them in terms of balance and defensive shape, if them two start chipping in with goals as well, we talk about other players, don't we, and the risk of losing them. I think they go to another level then, but at the moment they're so important for us.
Probably 6 or 7, perhaps 8 or 9 players who could have got the man of the match. It went to Regan Linney, and I think it was fully deserved.
Yeah, his work rate was phenomenal today, and as you said, his pass the other week at Chesterfield. I think that's been the biggest progression for Regan. His game awareness, his game IQ has really gone through the roof. His ability to see and execute that pass. If he doesn't do that, we don't score the goal. If he decides, as he probably would have done when he first came in, to drive all the way into the box, as he probably would have got away with FC United at times and take 2 or 3 players on, but he's taking 2 or 3 players out with a pass, and then we get the finish, and it's, as I said, it's executed brilliantly there, Banco, in terms of the timing of his run into the box.
And I think Richard Hill came over and shook your hand just before the end of the game. That doesn't happen very often. When it does, it's usually a sign of the admiration of the opposition.
Yeah, well, he's a top first-class manager, isn't he? He's been at a much higher level than me. I think I saw him on a Sunderland documentary a couple of months back. Director of football there, he's been there, seen it, done it, hasn't he? So to get that level of respect from a person first and foremost, and a manager of his quality. Look what they did in the FA Cup, nearly had Man United today. It just means a lot in terms of the progress that we've made and the level of respect that we're getting in this division now.
And we've got a week now until to prepare for our next National League fixture against Solihull Moors, which will be a very tough encounter. Hyde United in the quarter-final of the Cheshire Senior Cup on Tuesday, and I assume we're going with the same plan as we've had for the first 2 rounds.
No, I think we'll step in now and take the glory from Ross. No, definitely, it's only right, and it's fitting that Ross should, and the team around him should get these opportunities, and that's what we're trying to do. And the lads, we could have made a load of subs, couldn't we, at the hour mark? But I knew how valuable a full 90 rather than trying to juggle the minutes would have been. We were in control. I didn't see the point in changing it just to give lads an opportunity to go and score a goal, because that's probably what you're looking at. The likes of Matty Coslow, Dan Mooney, Dior, Angus, they won't appreciate the fact that I haven't brought them on. But ultimately, I want to see them show up well and get a full 90 on Tuesday and show what they can do. I mean, Justin Donner will be involved there as well, who's not even in the squad at the moment. So as much as they won't look at it as an opportunity because it is the Cheshire Senior Cup and for some reason it has this stigma about it, listen, every single game we want to do properly, we want to win, and if they want to contribute, which I know they do, they've got to get the right mentality and they've got to get the right level of minutes in their legs, because we've seen this season the amount of injuries that you can pick up like that in a week. They're going to be needed, and if not injuries, dips in form, and we're only as strong as the lads who are coming from the bench. So everyone's played the part, and it'd be important that they play the part Tuesday to be as ready as they can going into the final part of the season.
And Hyde themselves are pushing for playoffs in the Northern Premier League Premier Division, so it'll be interesting to see what side they put out, but it should make for a really fascinating encounter.
Hey, listen, I'll be amazed if they're not full strength. They'll want to beat us. It'll be a big feather in their cap, as it is every team. It's like the FA Cup, isn't it, in terms of if you're playing a team above you want to show how good you are, and they'll certainly want to do that. And Hyde are a very good team. We've watched them numerous times, not because we're going to play against them, because they play a real good brand of football. They've got some talented players there, and we'll know what to expect. But listen, ultimately for me, it'll be about ensuring that the lads who are on that pitch apply themselves correctly with the right mindset to try and get a win and also get that minutes in the legs, so we're ready to go for the back end.